In the vibrant, bustling city of Kitalo, where skyscrapers kiss the African sun and the sweet scent of roasted groundnuts dances on the breeze, there lived a young doctor named Nyana. At just 26, she was known for two remarkable things: her purity of heart, untouched by romance or love, and her unmatched medical skill. She dedicated her life to the understaffed city hospital, treating everyone, from the wealthiest tycoon to the poorest villager, with the same gentle, unwavering care.
Ho, ho, ho!
One night, as a fierce storm raged over Kitalo, a convoy of sleek black SUVs screeched to a halt outside the hospital. Soldiers armed to the teeth jumped out, followed by a frantic, well-dressed assistant. "Help! We need a doctor. He's collapsing!" he screamed. On the stretcher lay a man whose face was known across the continent, Cato Nzimbi, the wealthiest man in all of East Africa. He was called the Cold Lion, a man who ruled his vast empire with ice in his veins and a heart frozen in stone.
Ho, ho, ho!
People whispered that he trusted no one, not even his own shadow. And now he had collapsed from a rare, aggressive heart condition. A chill of fear swept through the emergency room. The senior doctors, the most experienced in the hospital, took one look and stepped back. "That man sues anyone who even looks at him wrong," one muttered. "If he dies on your watch, your career is over," another whispered. "This is a job for the government's top specialists."
Ho, ho, ho!
But the government doctors were hours away, and Cato Nzimbi's breathing was growing faint, his life slipping away with each passing second. Someone had to act, and fast. In the ensuing panic, the hospital director, his face pale with stress, grabbed Nyana by the arm. You're the only one brave enough to save him. That's a direct order." Nyana's heart leaped into her throat. "But he's a billionaire. What if something goes wrong? The consequences."
Ho, ho, ho!
She stammered, "Go." The director barked, his voice leaving no room for argument. With a deep breath, she pushed through the doors of the emergency room. Inside, the air was thick with tension. Nyana looked down at the formidable man on the table. She placed her trembling hands on Cato's chest. His skin was cold, unnaturally so, like marble. "Stay with me," she whispered, her voice a quiet plea in the sterile room.
Ho, ho, ho!
She moved with a speed and precision that belied her years, administering injections, applying specialized pressure techniques, fighting to stabilize his failing heart. Sweat beaded on her forehead and dripped down her face, but she didn't stop. She wouldn't stop. And then, after what felt like an eternity, a faint, steady sound broke the silence. Beep, beep, beep. His heartbeat was back. Cato's eyelids fluttered open. His gaze, though weak, was sharp and icy.
Ho, ho, ho!
A deep, rumbling voice filled the room, sending a shiver down her spine. "Who touched me?" Nyana swallowed hard. I did," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "I saved your life." Cato stared at her, a flicker of confusion in his cold eyes. For the very first time in his life, someone had touched him not out of fear, not for money, not for power, but purely to save him. And her touch, though gentle, had sent a shockwave through his entire being.
Ho, ho, ho!
In the days that followed, Cato's recovery began, and a strange unspoken bond formed between the patient and his doctor. Every time he opened his eyes, Nyana was there. She was a constant, calming presence, checking his heartbeat, adjusting his medication, speaking to him with a genuine kindness he had never known. The world treated him like a lion to be feared or a vault to be opened. Nyana treated him like a man who needed to heal. With her, the cold arrogance he was famous for simply melted away.
Ho, ho, ho!
In its place was a quiet, curious, almost soft man. One evening, as the sun set over Kitalo, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, he broke the silence. "Doctor, why don't you fear me like everyone else does?" Nyana offered a faint, worn smile. "Because fear," she said softly, "has never healed anyone." That simple answer didn't just surprise him, it cracked something deep within his frozen heart. Soon, his requests became more personal. First, he insisted that only Nyana conduct his checkups.
Ho, ho, ho!
Then, he asked her to join him for meals. Before long, he was requesting she accompany him on slow walks through the hospital's lush garden. Whispers and rumors began to fly through the hospital corridors. "The lion is melting. That young doctor must be a witch. Is this love, or is she walking into danger?" The whispers of danger were closer to the truth than anyone knew. Cato's enemies were always circling, hungry for a piece of his empire. His own cousin, Barasa, was the most dangerous of all.
Ho, ho, ho!
Consumed by jealousy, Barasa saw Cato's growing affection for Nyana not as a sign of healing, but as a weakness to be exploited. He hatched a cruel plan: get rid of the doctor, and Cato's heart would turn back to ice, making him vulnerable. One night, Barasa put his plan into motion. He bribed an ambulance driver to lure Nyana away from the hospital under false pretenses. In the darkness, she was ambushed, dragged into the dense woods that bordered the hospital grounds.
Ho, ho, ho!
"Stay away from my cousin," Barasa hissed, his face a mask of malice, "or you will disappear." But just as he raised his hand to harm her, a powerful voice thundered through the trees, filled with a fury that seemed to shake the very ground. "Put her down!" It was Cato. He was weak, still far from recovered, but he stood there leaning heavily on a metal cane that he held like a spear. Without a second's hesitation, he launched himself at Barasa's men.
Ho, ho, ho!
Even in his weakened state, the raw, protective fury of the lion was a terrifying sight. Nyana cried out, "Cato, no. You're not healed yet. You'll hurt yourself." He ignored her pleas, his breath coming in ragged gasps, his body trembling with effort. He fought until he stood between her and the threat, a shield carved from sheer willpower. Terrified, Barasa and his men fled into the night. The moment they were gone, Cato collapsed to one knee, panting for air.
Ho, ho, ho!
Nyana rushed to his side, her heart pounding with fear and a flood of another, unfamiliar emotion. "You shouldn't have come. You could have died," she cried, tears streaming down her face. He looked up at her, his eyes weary but burning with an intensity she'd never seen before. "I would risk everything," he rasped, "even my last breath, to protect the woman who was the first to touch my heart." Nyana froze. In that moment, the cold billionaire the world feared was gone.
Ho, ho, ho!
Before her was just a man wounded, vulnerable, and fiercely real. In the aftermath, Barasa was arrested, his plot exposed. Cato, under Nyana's continued care, made a full and complete recovery. The billionaire who once trusted no one now became a daily visitor at the city hospital. He didn't come for treatment. He came for Nyana. One sun-drenched afternoon, he stood before her in the hospital garden. There were no guards, no assistants, no signs of his immense wealth. It was just a man holding his heart in his hands.
Ho, ho, ho!
"Nyana," he said, his voice soft and warm, "I have empires, wealth, and more power than any man could want, but none of it ever warmed my heart the way your touch did." Nyana blushed, her own heart fluttering in her chest. "Sir," she began, but he cut her off with a gentle smile, a real smile that reached his eyes. "Not sir," he corrected her. "Just Cato." And there beneath the shade of an old acacia tree,
Ho, ho, ho!
The coldest billionaire in Africa and the pure-hearted doctor began a story that would be whispered across villages for generations, a timeless tale of how a single gentle touch can melt even the hardest of hearts. Thank you so much for watching. If you loved this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another one. See you next time.
Ho, ho, ho!